hold on. So we're talking about creating reasons. Sorry, I want to record this. So the first thing that you should do to help you come up with reasons is take the thesis and turn it around into a question. So let's say, for example, my thesis is having a large extended family is great. So I'm just going to turn it around into why is having a large extended family so great? Question. Give me an example of a thesis that you all had. Somebody give me an example of a thesis that you were writing about. Go ahead, mister, in the front.
What? How professional sports take the toll on the player.
I'm sorry, what is it again?
How professional sports take the toll on the player.
Professional sports take a toll on players. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this around into a question. How do professional sports take a toll on players? Now, in social studies, you guys had to write a persuasive essay. Yeah. Raise your hand, what was the thesis of that persuasive essay?
Try to remember not to move to this city.
All right. So if you're saying, who was it? Who had to move? Like you did?
Yeah.
All right. I would move to this city. Why would I move to this city? All right. This applies to anything, any writing in science, social studies. Okay. So besides turning it around to the question, this is what you want to do. You want to brainstorm as many reasons or ways, because when you write an essay, you don't only prove it with reasons, but sometimes it can be ways. So for example, like I could say something like science is the hardest subject ever, and I could give you a bunch of ways it's hard, right? All right. So it's not just reasons. So what you have to do is brainstorm, no matter how stupid they are or how repetitive they seem, just make a bulleted list of all the reasons possible. So let's say, like, I'm doing this whole, you don't have to write my examples down, just write the tips down. So, like, I'm doing this whole, my extended family is large. So, for example, like, I come from, my dad has 6 brothers and sisters, and, like, his sister has 6 children. And then they have a ton of children. But the thing is, we all live in, like, Freehold, right? Because I think there's one uncle that lives in Delaware. So, like, to me, having this big, huge family really is a great thing. So what I did is I just basically, this is my thesis. And in my notes, I am just jotting down as many reasons that I can think of. So I wrote, you always have a babysitter. Because I'm thinking, like, I could be stuck without a sitter, and all of a sudden I call up my cousin who lives right around the corner. Sure, no problem, bring the kids over. It's fun, because when there's so many of you, it's like, you're always, like, at a party, all right? Christmas is much more fun. Your family becomes your friends. So, like, growing up, my best friends were my cousins. So I have, like, 4 cousins that are my age. So my family becomes my friends. There's always someone there to listen to your problems. There are so many people available to give you advice. There are a lot of parties you get to go to. Sunday breakfast is awesome with so many kids around. It lets you save money because you have people who are experts who do things for free, like my uncle's a plumber. My one cousin, she's a principal, so if I ever need her to look over my resume, or she can do that for free. There's always someone to play with or hang out with. And I think that's it. Okay, so here's what I want you to do before we go any further. Actually, we're going to kind of do this together. So let's say we're writing an essay. How many of you would agree that moving from 5th to 6th grade was a little bit challenging? Was it? All right, maybe some of you were like, nah, huh? All right, so we're going to say we all agree that moving to 5th to 6th grade is challenging. So write that down in your notes. So here's our thesis. Moving from 5th to 6th grade is challenging. Now, here's what I'm thinking. I don't like the word moving because it doesn't sound very sophisticated. I know, like, I'm in middle school. Transitioning. All right, so here's what I want you to do at your tables. I want you guys to come up with as many reasons as possible. Make just a bulleted list of ways in which moving from 5th to 6th grade was challenging. And don't even think about, is this a good reason, this is a bad reason. So right now, we're just brainstorming. And then I'm going to come around and I'm going to make a big list of all the things that you guys are writing. Okay, so you're going to do this as like a whole table. So you should all have basically the same answers. Any questions on what to do? All right, so I'll give you about 5 minutes. So going around the room, this is the list that I compiled. It's obviously not every single thing that all the groups created. So it says, and pardon my capitalization, and I was just trying to go fast. So you have to remember your schedule. It's hard to remember your schedule. Sometimes you have to leave your friends. Lockers are difficult. You have to switch classes. More children, stricter teachers, harder work. Sitting in classes is hard.
I don't get that. Why is it different?
Get used to more than one teacher. Teachers expect more. Have to change for gym. Unfamiliar to school. You have to remember your locker combination, no recess, and hard to keep your books organized without a cubby or a desk. I don't mean a cubby, I meant desk. Okay, so is there anything that you feel strongly about that should be on this list that is not on this list of reasons? So I'm going to add them to the list. We brainstormed as many reasons that we could think of, right? Okay, so you had this huge list. So what do you want to do next? This is your next step. This is tip number 3. This is tip number 3. Let me just hurry up and go through mine. Yeah. So now what you want to do is this is tip number 3, right? Or is this 2?
It's supposed to be 3.
It's supposed to be 3? Okay. So what you want to do now is you want to look at all your reasons. And I actually heard over in this group say, well, wait, that's the same thing as what we already put. So sometimes when you're brainstorming all these reasons, what you have to do is you have to look at your reasons and see if any of them can be combined and perhaps, if needed, recrafted or reworded. So let's look at the list and see if anything kind of can group together. It's almost like what you did when you were in 2nd grade, right? When you would have a picture of a dog and a baseball mitt and a baseball bat and a pitcher's mound. Well, what 3 go together? The 3 baseball items. So what we have to do is we have to look at our list up here, and we have to say to ourselves, which of these, I'm going to wait till you guys. So looking at this list, which of these can definitely be combined because they sound alike. Now, not everything can be combined, so don't feel like you have to combine every single one of these. All right? So I think I need to make it a little smaller because you won't be able to see all of it. All right, so tell me which of these can definitely talk about in your groups right now, and then we'll come up to a consensus in about a couple minutes. All right, so which of these can definitely be combined? And you guys, what you can do is you can reword it. You could totally make its own category. Okay? So give me one. Go ahead. Alex, go ahead. So let's look at what we have so far. So we have the color, it's coordinated by the color. So the yellow goes together as one group, the red goes as one group. Actually, yeah, the red goes as one group, etc. So, but here's what we have to do. Now that we kind of group them, we have to kind of reword and craft a whole new reason. So I'm going to show you how I do this. So one of the things that I'm looking at, like you guys are talking about changing for gym, right? But you're also talking about this whole locker thing, and then you're also talking about switching for classes. So actually, to me, I think that those can be classified together because, like, switching for classes, right? Changing for gym. Where's changing for gym? Oh, changing for gym, right? I'm going to tell you why. And then, what was the other one I said? Getting lockers. Like this whole locker thing. What are all those? Those are all new what? Routines. So to me, like this whole lockers are difficult, I would classify that as one reason that's really hard is there are new routines to get used to. So sometimes what you have to do, it almost seems like in your reasons, these are not really reasons, but what are they actually?
Like statements?
What? Nope. They're not reasons. They're examples. So, like, there are new routines.
What's the difference between a reason and an example?
Well, this is it. So here's an example. Here's a reason. There are new routines, right? It's a big topic. An example supports the reason. So like this. So I could say Star Girl is the craziest girl ever. An example would be she plays the, what is it called? Yeah, and sings Happy Birthday to random kids. Okay. So the examples support your reason. So to me, this would be one big category. So sometimes you have to look at all the reasons you listed and say to yourself, okay, can I group these into, like, maybe they're more examples and not really reasons, and I can come up with a big reason based upon the examples. So using what I just did, is there any other thing that we can do for these reasons? Is there any other way we can categorize or reword? So let's come up with a better way to phrase. There are harder lessons, harder work, and I think stricter teachers can all go together. So talk it over, come up with a better way to craft that reason. And when I say craft, I mean like word it in a really elegant, sophisticated, middle school kind of way. So go ahead. So some of you said like the academics are difficult. Okay, first you start off with the classes are harder. The classes are difficult. But we want to get more sophisticated. So instead, Adam said, all right, how about academics? So academics are much more strenuous. Yep. What does it mean, Bridget? You got it. So here's my first reason. Here's my first way. Here's my second way. So now, what would be a third way, based upon my combining? And now I want to reword. So I got rid of. Oh, and you know what else? The whole schedule that can go on to new routines too, right? How about this whole friends thing?
I'm gonna go friend.
So a third reason could be, if you can understand my writing, is building relationships is not always easy. No. So we talked about that some people came from Erickson, and when they came over to Eisenhower, not a lot of their friends came here. So for some people, this could be true. All right. So now a fourth one. So is there everything that we kind of can we categorize all these? Is there anything that, like bigger kids, can that be on its own?
You get trampled. Like legit, that shoved into a...
All right, so let's bigger kids and more kids. So let's just put number 4. So there are bigger kids. We can have that stand on its own. Shh. Please stop talking. Okay, so we got rid of this. We got rid of this. What about more responsibility? Could that really actually be on its own?
Yes.
All right, so let's make a number 5. More responsibility. All right, so get more homework we did. Hard to keep your book organized. How about this no recess thing? Can that stand on its own?
Yeah.
All right, so number 6, we'll put no recess.
Besides gym when you go outside.
All right. Unfamiliar to school. What about that one? Is that like new routines?
Recess with getting used to new routines.
Yeah, we could. We could group this with new routines. Whoops, what's going on here? Get used to more than a teacher. Harder work, hold on, strict teachers, more children. You have to switch classes, lockers, leaving your friends, and we did this. Okay, so we have 6 reasons. So how many did we start off with? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like 17. And we narrowed it down to 6. So what I want you to do is write down, and I'll write them up nice and clear up here for you. So let's look. So let's write them nice and clear. Oh no. Okay. All right, so the ones that you came up with that we're going to discuss tomorrow even more, because you may have these, you combined them, you reworded, you recrafted them. So you came up with it has a negative effect on one's physical health. It makes kids feel discombobulated. It puts stress on relationships. It takes away from activities that are important for a healthy lifestyle. You do not really need it because it is only worth 5% of your grade. It has negative effects on your mental health. So what we are going to do tomorrow is I'm going to teach you that, all right, you have these reasons and they seem all fine and dandy, But now you have to test these. So after you combine them and recraft it, you have to go back and you have to test them. So that is what we're going to work on tomorrow, is testing them. So what I want you to do now, I want you to go to Socrative.